Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Natural Expansion, the StarCraft 2 podcast. For myself, Wardy, and this week we are joined by the lovely Penguin. Dude, what's up? How you doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a weird month, but back on track, more or less. It's been a weird month and a weird weekend. Life's just been all over this month. It's really kind of insane. Um, thanks for joining me, of course. And today we're going to be discussing a couple of events which obviously you have quite a bit to do with, which is why we got you here. Didn't just pick you randomly because I love you, because or because we are mutual spirit animals, as you like to
Oh
call
yeah,
it.
that's definitely a thing.
That's definitely a thing. Like we just mutual spirit. I mean, I don't even know how to describe that to people, so I think we'll just leave it to their imagination. But if if you had a mutual spirit animal, you would know. Like you would just know.
It's just a thing that sometimes happens in life.
Yeah, it's just a thing that happens when. I mean, you can't even explain it. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's impossible, man. It just doesn't work. So yeah, we're gonna be discussing to start things off PSISTORM Cup 5, and then of course the big one coming up this weekend is gonna be the WCS Austin 2017, our first WCS circuit event of the year, right? I mean, Katowice's not really a circuit event in the sense of the. I guess it's a
Yeah,
circuit event, but it's like also like a champion. It's like got a different grade in it, right? So
it's just its own thing.
it's its own thing. Katowice just does what it's want because ESL has money to throw at it. So that's that. So let's reround a little bit and go to the starting topic, which is a little bit of a warm up, I suppose, which is PSISTORM Cup 5. Now, obviously, you're part of PSISTORM Gaming, so this is kind of your
Mhm.
team's event. And PSISTORM Cup 5 was originally meant to be a bit of a larger event for people. Um,
Right.
it was actually kind of hyped up as like this big thing where they're going to introduce like a big venue, they're going to do a couple of different things here and there. And that didn't come through because of last minute venue issues. Um,
Yeah, so basically what happened there, which is really frustrating, is that we had a venue and like the venue was down with everything. We even brought on like the neighboring establishment and like they were in on it too and it was ready to be like so sick. And then like they're both in a mall, and like the mall manager vetoed it. So we went above the mall manager to like her superior, and like the superior was like, "Oh no, that sounds fine." But then she still vetoed it. She basically put down like a thing where she was like, "If you don't give us a $2 million deposit, you can't run your event." And we're just like, "Excuse me, what?"
so it was pretty dumb,
Yeah, it
is
was
the kind
pretty
of thing.
stupid.
But as far as I think I was talking to you about it, but there's going to still be the larger version, right? At some point, just looking for a new venue and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we're basically the venue we were going to be working with has another place, so we're gonna
Ah,
look to try to run
ah,
Sizestorm Cup 6,
ah.
I think there.
That's awesome. So Storm Cup 5 is just a small little LAN. I mean, I say small, $1,000 is not.
It's pretty much the same
Yeah,
as all the other Sizestorm
yeah.
Cups up until this point.
It's
$1,000 local land for the
yeah.
East Coast boys.
Basically, it's a nice sized local LAN that brings out the players, brings out some competitors, and I mean that's actually what we're going to talk about first of all, like the actual importance of having local LANs. Now,
Hmm.
I gotta speak from the point of the UK scene, obviously, because I'm from the UK. Who would have thought that I would know about the UK scene? But I mean, it also stretches into other scenes as well. But you can generally see that the scenes that have local lands and like events to help grow players and to help to kind of foster competition are generally the scenes that do very well. For example, the French scene has O Gaming runs so many events, and how
Hmm.
many top tier French players have we seen in recent times? Like Lilbo, then Drogo, and Daishi, and then they've got like the youngsters coming through as well. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's the same in like the German team as well. They had the EPS Cup forever, and now you have players like Showtime and TLO and everyone, and you think back a couple of years ago, Showtime was just some guy who barely made Challenger League, and now he's like the top European player.
Yep.
Um, and I mean, in a way, I even throw back to like the good old days of the UK where we had these lands a bit more, and we didn't have a lot of good players, but we had the Muslim, we had Bling and we had Johnny Rico, and to me, it's like the same sort of idea. Like we had that kind of back then we had the lands and we had some players, and now we don't have lands and we don't have as many players. So I mean, I think these kind of lands are very important. So I know you've got kind of a similar experience as well, or at least some insight, because you obviously were part of the Swiss scene for a long time, and now you're kind of
Hmm.
part of the East Coast scene. So,
Yeah, I
what's your
definitely
thoughts?
agree. I agree 100% that local lands are extremely important. Any way for lower tier up and comers to even just make a little bit of money goes a long way. And like, let's say hypothetically, let's take PSISTORM Cup. Let's say like, not even like winning the tournament. Let's say like Creature, he came second 3 times, or maybe all was it four? It was 3 or 4 times, and it's $300 each time. $300 isn't going to be a life-changing amount of money, but just like especially for like young players as well, like if you can go home and be like, "Hey, look, I won money at this event." It goes a long way to getting people to respect your decision to invest time in a game like this. It goes a long way towards sort of validating your decisions to invest time in StarCraft. So stuff like that's very important. It's a really good way to motivate people to practice as well, just having more tournaments to show up to. And it's a great way to just get LAN experience as well. And especially on the East Coast, it's really great to see how many people turn up for these LANs. Like we saw this Storm Cup had so many good players. I don't even remember offhand how many GM contenders there were, but at least 15. Like for a small tournament like this, I remember Cheesadelphia the last time that happened had almost 40. Like it's ridiculous how much the East Coast comes out for these events. So I think it goes a long way, and it's also really great to see how much support these events do have on the East Coast.
Yeah, it sounds really awesome. I actually just looked at the I hadn't looked at the challenge page for the Storm Cup bracket for Storm 5. There's like
Hmm.
41 signups, man. That's like so
Yeah,
sick. Like I think that's actually kind of insane. Um, here in
and
the
just
UK,
looking
we
at
have
the
like,
signups as well, like just going
oh
down the
yeah,
list of
the
people who are
quality of
in GM,
signups.
like
Yeah,
True, Poke Bunny, Rays, Creature, Warren, myself, Migraine, Sugar, Cybercat, Kozan, Future, Dolan, End of Line, Tesla, Ninkazi, Caleb, Jamilian, Kawaiian, Lucky Fool, like all of these people are Grandmaster players.
yeah, it's really sick. I think you mentioned some really cool things about like the reason the lands are important, and it is just kind of the idea of like it's the same reason online cups are important, right? It's a stepping
Mhm.
stone. You know, to first get into competitive play, you
Yep,
generally, you
exactly.
know, you stepping stone through via like online cups. That's your first sense of competition. Then you hit up a small LAN, and it goes from there because it's all experience and it's all again convincing people. Look, mom. I'm not just wasting my life sat in my room, and she's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you are. You're playing StarCraft." You're like, "Oh shit, yeah," but like, but like it
But I think
is.
it also goes a long way. Something that's also important to mention. I know we're going to be getting to DreamHack Austin later, but it's also just really important to have things like this and the ability to win prize money to incentivize and support the lower tier players. And
Yeah.
if we think back to 2015, in a DreamHack, you needed to come top 8 to get any semblance of prize money. And this year, they're running it all the way down to like $1,000 for just top 32, which is fantastic. And I think that's exactly what the scene needs.
Yeah, it was the same story at I Am Katowice, and I had a similar
Hmm.
discussion with Pilly Pilly on the last episode of this of Natural Expansion about how awesome that is. So if you guys want to hear a bit more about that, do go check out that one. It was actually a really sick 40 minutes talk with Pilly about stuff like that in Katowice, and yeah, I mean it is. It's just like it's. I guess the overarching theme is opportunities and creating opportunities, and that's what these like little lands are. They're opportunities to
Hmm.
get together. And I guess as well, something we're maybe not saying is just the chance to kind of be part of the scene, like to know other people who play the game, meet up with them, like become friends. Like I know, like some of my best friends. I'll just straight up say it. My best friends in the world right now are from StarCraft and from meeting them at LANs, and maybe not necessarily all the small local LANs, but some of them are. But like from LANs
Hmm.
around the world, so it just creates that opportunity for friendship to spread through from common interests and all the rest of it too. So I mean, that's really neat, and it's nice. It's nice to see like Storm Cup doing so well, and Cheesadelphia as well, and East Coast doing some work really, I guess, in terms of getting some good player signups.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Is there anything on the West Coast? I
There
know you're not.
used to be a lot more. I really don't think there is right now, and it's kind of disappointing.
I think the thing that West Coast has is that a lot of events sort of make their way to the West Coast.
But even this year, that's not really a thing. And
Yeah, I
ever
guess
since
so.
MLG Anaheim, there hasn't really been any.
I guess that's true. Epsiode had their finals there, which is something, I
That's
guess.
true, but that's not an open
Yeah,
event,
sure,
so.
sure. I mean, I guess that's maybe more so towards my point of like making friends and being a happy family and getting to be part of the
Right,
scene.
right.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of weird. East Coast man, doing well. Start that East Coast West Coast rivalry. All right. Um, so yeah, small little lands are pretty cool. Again, like I could just repeat myself talking about the UK scene, but it's the same here. Like, we all love going to LAN and we all know each other and we have a great time. I mean, for us, LAN is like a massive event because it's not just a competition, but it's a chance to go and have a great time with all of our friends. So it's, I mean, whether from the UK as well, so we drink too much and all the rest of it. So it really
Oh
is
yeah,
like
you know it.
LAN is not a competition. LAN is it's a
LAN
competition
is a
of,
drinking competition.
yeah, exactly. It's a competition of who handles the hangover the best on finals day. That's they and even the LAN kind of goes with that by putting the finals at like 11 a.m. It's like,
Oh God.
okay then, here we go. It's kind of funny. Last LAN, the finals was T-Ball against Mix, and T-Ball went to sleep like kind of early, like midnight, 1 a.m. Got a good like 8 hours sleep or something. Woke up, showered. Mix at like 6:30 a.m. was like smashed off his face in his
Oh
chair, like
God.
sort of falls asleep a bit, gets woken up telling him he's meant to be in game in 10 minutes. He's like, oh shit, okay. So yeah,
Oh
that's
my
that's
God.
I mean that's the
Who
UK
won
scene.
is the real question.
Mix.
What?
Yeah.
No.
It must be the worst feeling ever, right? To lose to someone who you've just seen being a complete degenerate all night,
Oh
right?
God.
Amazing. But that's the UK. That it always happens. It was the same when the first time Boombox lost an Epic Land final for a while against AC. It's like AC was completely smashed until 6 a.m. and wakes up and wins. It was just like so crazy. The UK scene, man, it's something special. Anyways, just want to quickly talk about. Well, first of all, let's just quickly go through the results of PSISTORM Cup. First, I mean, one of the big reasons you're here is because you hit second place.
Easy.
Easy? Is that just your statement? Is that all we're saying?
Easy.
Easy.
Uh,
All right.
in like I mean, I could make some bants about NA being NA, but there were a lot of really good players at this tournament, and I think I beat a lot of people who are actually way better than me because of the pure idiocy of my Link Queen being all in.
Well, I mean, we don't have to talk too much more about you hitting second. But I mean, it's so annoying. This kind of ties us so nicely into the Poke Bunny drama. But just
Yeah,
quickly to run through the results. True hit first place. Somehow you lost to True. I mean,
I
what the
know,
fuck were you
shocking.
doing? You took down Poke Bunny in the semis. True took down Rays, and outside of the top four, it was Tesla, Future, Migraine, and Warren in
I
top
actually
eight.
think it was more impressive for like I don't mean this as like a shit talk on Poke Bunny because I don't think I'm better than Poke Bunny, but I think it was more impressive that I beat Future 2-0 because Future has like actually been such like on such a tear recently. Like, he recently beat Gumiho, Alive, and Keen in
Oh
tournaments.
shit! Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like I've
He's
seen him doing well
actually
in online
so
cups.
good. He's
Oh, that's
so
insane.
good. So I wasn't expecting to win that, but he's also very young, and it was his third event. So I know that he was a
Experience,
little
man. Experience.
yeah, he's just not as experienced. So he was very nervous.
It's the importance of smaller local lands.
It's actually very true.
All right, well, you beat Poke Bunny and created yet another meme against the NA scene, which we'll come back to in a little bit. Tell me about the Poke Bunny drama, because I'm not gonna lie, I was out and I was a bit drunk when it went down, so you probably know more about it than me. So,
So
talk to me.
Poke Bunny was misinformed, and I don't know what happened exactly. He was under the impression that KJ had effectively promised that True would not be playing in the PSISTORM Cup. I don't know. Like, apparently he got that from a conversation he had with KJ at PSISTORM Cup 4. I don't know what exactly was said in the conversation, but he also then just assumed that, and he then got very accusatory, which he later apologized for. He basically said KJ was lying to everyone to get more signups, which was hilarious because we had announced 9 days earlier that True would be playing, and over the course of the last month and a half, every time somebody has asked me, including two people on Poke Bunny's team, whether True would be playing, I said yes, he will. So that just leaves me wondering. I don't know who the hell Poke Bunny even talked to, but he was under that impression. So he was basically saying, "Oh, it's unfair that True's going to play, so I'm not going to go because otherwise I would win this tournament and it's worth it. But now it's not worth it because I won't win the tournament."
So, I mean, the funny part of that is then you beat him in the semifinals, and he just,
Yeah.
he gets cream on his face. I mean, I mean, honestly, what he said was not really. I mean, what he said, the way he said it was kind of dumb. But what the
Well, the
idea
thing,
of,
the thing is, the whole point that he was making was sort of invalid. Because I'm somebody who personally agrees that for smaller lands, and this one is a little questionable for me because the prize pool is at 1K.
yeah,
My personal experience with something similar is that when Stardust and Daisy were in the MYI house, they basically killed the Swiss StarCraft scene by farming the lands for like 6 months. But that even then is it's a little bit of a different story because there we're talking about like first of all it's two people, which is not the most relevant point. But Swiss lands also have a total prize pool of 600, which is 300 for
right,
first, 200 for second, and 100 for third. So then you end up in a situation where people are just desperately fighting for the $100 third place between a bunch of good people. Whereas here it's a little different because you've got three people outside of that first place that are going to win
yeah,
money. And I also think that a lot of this is a little weird because if you want to set like a cap where it's like, oh, nobody who got top 16 in a WCS event last year can play, I think that's fair. But saying something like this player can't play because he has a Korean flag next to his name is stupid.
yeah.
And another thing that sort of devalues that point is that nobody got mad when Neeb said he was considering coming down. And Neeb right now is having better success than True.
Yeah.
So why say True can't play but Neeb can play? Why be okay with Kelazor coming over in PSISTORM Cup 3 and farming it without dropping a map if True can't play? And none of these people complain, specifically Poke Money. There weren't that many people complaining, but like Poke Money never complained when Kelazor was there. He never complained when Neeb was considering coming down. He only complained because True was there and he's a Korean, which is just stupid.
I mean, when you put it like that, it sort of shifts my view a bit. I wasn't completely in the loop with this, I suppose. So I just thought he was like, well, it doesn't make sense for me to go if I'm not going to win. But yeah, I
Yeah,
kind of,
but you went when Kelazor went. And
yeah,
like again,
okay,
like
sure.
there's so many levels of this that are just like wrong.
There's some. I guess there's more at play as well. I mean, it's a different weekend to when Keller's went to, which might affect things. But anyway, that was the down low on the drama. So basically, Poke Bunny made a bit of a fool of himself. He managed to introduce the Poke Bunny Charity Prize, which was awarded to a player who is not True, but who played the best, according to a vote by the participants of the LAN, which was given to End of Line. Any
No,
reason
it
for that?
wasn't. I
Was it
don't
not?
know why that's listed on Wikipedia. It was voted to be
Wow.
split between the every time we play at Storm Cup, everyone goes and gets Korean barbecue afterwards, and it was voted to be put towards the Korean barbecue. So I have
So,
no idea why End of Line is listed as the winner of the Poke Bunny Charity Prize, because basically everyone in the tournament got $7 towards their Korean barbecue.
so what you're saying is the $200 meant for non-Korean went to the Koreans.
Yeah, they went to the Korean barbecue.
Koreans
And
are
I
ruining your
was really
lands,
annoyed.
Penguin.
I was annoyed, and like not even because I wanted it. Like I thought I had a good shot at getting it if it was just players, but we had a nomination process, and somebody nominated the people who drove people to the event, and I thought that would have been a great use of it. Basically, pay
Yeah.
for their gas. Like the people who are driving people are very important for an event like this, and then everyone just votes to get like $7 off their Korean barbecue. Like, come on, give it to the drivers. I was like one of three
I mean,
people who voted for the drivers.
it makes sense initially when it's like, oh, $200 off a Korean barbecue, but then you realize there's like 30 people at the Korean barbecue. You're like, oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
not that much money, is it? Like when you split it so much. All right, well, just because we weren't actually going to talk about this, but then we decided to just before we started recording because we figured NA bans, NA memes. We very quickly want to talk about the Puck Risky show match.
Oh God.
Because the Poke Bunny drama was actually the second time the NA scene got embarrassed this week.
In one day.
In one day as well.
In
It all
one
happened in one day.
day.
So what happened with this one, guys? This is like literally top banter. Basically, Puck posted something on Reddit, and Risky in the comments was just like, I think Puck posted a comment.
It
And
was about
Risky
the
was like,
adept nerf.
yeah, it's about the adept nerf, and Risky was just like, Risky made like a point which was like, no, he was maybe a bit passive aggressive, but it wasn't that bad. He wasn't like being really that facetious either. And then Puck just like calls Risky out. He's just like, dude, who even are you? Like, why, if you're such a good player, why aren't you going to DreamHack Austin? I can get, and Risky's like, well, because I can't afford to fly to Austin. And Puck's like, well, I qualified for Austin. And Risky's like, well, yeah, but I'm not, like an NA player. You can qualify for NA. So there's some, like, pretty fiery discussion going on with this. So they put up a
I
show
think
match. Sorry, go ahead.
I think the stupidest thing that the stupidest argument that will never ever have any credence, and I don't know why people still use this, is I did well in the NA scene, so I'm better than you because you didn't do as well in the EU/KR scene. Like, come
And I
the
mean,
fuck on.
that's not shitting on NA. It's just the reality of, if you look at,
It is
like,
the reality.
yeah, if you just look at NA Challenger League and EU Challenger League and see the difference of skill level, like, not between the top 4 players maybe, but between the bottom 8 or so, you'll see the bottom 8 of EU would like not even drop a map to anyone in the bottom 8 of NA a lot of the time. It's like,
yeah.
it's not even close. Which made this like pretty banterous. So they put up some money for a show match, and it got pretty big. Like, some guy stepped in, and they got like a prize pool of like $1,000 or something, and a best of 7. And well,
It was not pretty for Puck.
it was not pretty for Puck.
And the thing is, he
yeah.
continued the shit talk right up to go time. He's like, oh, I'm waking up early to 4-0 this scrub. Oh, like, tweeting all this shit. And then, like, he loses one game, and he just tweets, like, oh, wow, I didn't expect him to give me a warm-up. And then he just gets fucking destroyed. Like, oh, my God. Like, I cannot imagine how embarrassed Puck is right now. Like,
The final score was 4-1 to Risky, who, I mean, the thing is, as well, everyone was so involved in this drama, and all the Europeans loved it. Like, Risky, like, tier 3 European player, smashes NA qualified player for DreamHack Austin. Like, it was quite the entertainment of the day, so that was...
Like, honestly, it's one of those things where, like, I am a part of the NA scene now, so take this as me shit-talking my own scene, but... when are the NA players gonna fucking learn that they're not as good as the European players? Like, this happened last year to a much lesser extent. Like, I loved this event that was put on that I'm about to reference. I thought it was a great.
Was it the
bit
Cats?
of,
Was it the
like,
Cats one? The root run?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Cats and I put on. Cats approached me last stream at Austin and was like, "Hey, let's do an NA versus EU All Stars match." And I thought that was a great idea. But then, like, the way he framed it was like, now is the time for NA to rise. Like, we are as strong as Europe. And then they just got fucking smashed. Like, it was not close. And just, like, overall, like, it wasn't pretty. And it's like, guys, I love the rivalry. And it's great. Like, there are NA players that can be EU players, of course. And, like, even the NA players that aren't quite as good can still beat better EU players, like the same way that, like, any player can beat somebody a little better than them in StarCraft. But you gotta stop shit talking as if you're way better. It just looks really embarrassing when you lose.
Oh man, I mean, I kind of like the whole grudge match thing. It was kind of cool. I thought it was pretty neat, but like, I think Puck just went a bit too far with, like, I don't think Puck would have been too bad. Like, dude, like, shut up. I think you're talking shit. But
you gotta fucking give some respect to Puck though. Like,
yeah,
Puck he's a man of his word, and initially he wanted to do a $100 bet match with Risky, and then somebody else just, like, stepped in and gave him $1,000.
I think
after
they
Puck
still...
lost, he transferred Risky $100.
Oh really? I don't know what actually happened exactly, but like, yeah. To be fair, like, I mean, I love Puck and I love him as a player, but like, I mean, you've just got to look at this as being like the entire storyline. The fact that Puck did lose in the end after initiating it was just like, and not that he lost, that he got, like, in the game smashed. It was just, great storyline. So that was the day of the NA scene going to shit. That's when the NA.
And I think, like, both of them, I think, were an example of cockiness. And I didn't watch the Puck versus Risky game completely because I was playing, but I was watching it between games, and I know how Risky plays. I talk to Risky a fair bit, and I watch, like, a lot of tournaments, so I see him play. And Puck didn't prepare for a match worth $1,000. Which, like, he didn't prepare. He was blindsided by a lot of things that Risky does. That it's just like, that's something you should know is on the cards when you're playing somebody like Risky.
Yeah, when there's that much money on the line.
And the same case was exactly the case for Poke Bunny, and it's literally why I beat Poke Bunny, because this Ling Queen Bane drop that I had been doing all tournament long. He knew it. He scouted it in game 3. He scouted it at my base. He saw the overlords load up um, with the lings and the queens, but I morphed the banes outside his base, and he just clearly did not. He was too cocky. He thought he was too much better than me, and he didn't take 2 seconds out of his time to watch the VOD of the future match. So he just didn't know. Like, he'd heard about the lings and the queens. He saw the lings and the queens, and he just didn't assume there were banelings in the drop, and clumped all of his units, and they just all died. And it's like both of those matches, both Puck and Poke Bunny, just like they didn't prepare accordingly, and as a result, they got embarrassed.
Well, hopefully the NA scene can pull itself together because we do have the first WCS circuit event of the year.
Oh yeah.
Literally, I mean, everyone's starting to travel now. If they're not traveling today, then most likely tomorrow. If they're from Europe, obviously, so they
Right.
get there like a day before, maybe. So travel is basically starting for WCS Austin 2017. How hyped are you for Austin? I'm kind of excited for a
I'm
circuit event.
really hyped. I think it's going to be great. There's a ton of good players going. I'm hyped about my group. Obviously, I have one of the easier ones. It's not easy, like I don't have no names, but I don't have Harstum or Kella or like Drogo, so I'm pretty hyped for myself. We have a lot of players going as well, so we have 2 players qualified into the round of 32 as well, with Jon Snow and Pilly Pilly. So really looking forward to seeing how our boys do.
Yeah, gonna be really awesome. So let's just go through this. I mean, you just sort of let's start with your group and just sort of talk about your expectations. Are you going for round of 32? Do you reckon you can hit the prize money?
Yes. It's going to be a lot down to bracket luck, specifically in Group Stage 2. I
Mm-hmm.
think I need to win Group Stage 1
Right,
to avoid hitting 2 number 1 seeds.
of
But
course.
based on the groups, there are a couple of extremely easy groups which will have some like a beatable player end up in first place. So uh, let's take for example group Group M. Cats will be a first seed.
Mm-hmm.
Cats is not an unbeatable player.
Right.
Group N. Mana is also very good, but like it would be great to finish first in the group because you look at some of the people who are going to be finishing second. You've got Caliber will be finishing second. Noni will be finishing second. Dolan will be finishing second. All of these guys are really easy players. And then you have like Rays will be finishing second probably, and he's not easy, but he's beatable. And then like Cuddle Bear, who I just beat in WCS, like I think I would beat him as well. He'll probably also finish second. Sir Robin will finish second. Like there's a lot of people who are finishing second, who are honestly not that hard to beat, and just a couple of groups where they're very, very difficult. Like I'd like to avoid Optimus, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to avoid Cyan. I'd like to avoid Panda Bear Me. So like those are the people that I would like to avoid. But there's a lot of second seed people that are likely to be pretty easy. So I think getting first in Group Stage 1 gives you a pretty good chance of making it out of Group Stage 2.
Yeah, yeah. I think group stage 2 is one of these interesting events where really like I think you've got the people who are obviously going to go through, but we could see some real battles to get that $1,000 for top 32, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really going to be. And it's actually the first DreamHack I'm excited for in a long time because you know what? Well, not in a long time, but like compared to like previously, it's like we talked about old DreamHacks having prize cutoffs at round of 8 like 2 years ago, round of 16 last year, but like round of 32 is so reachable, you know.
Yeah,
It's
for
so
almost
for
everybody in these brackets.
yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. It's like anyone could make it, and like maybe in the past we saw like one guy make the money. It's like cool, and like in the past, like someone makes the second group stage, you don't expect them to. Wow, fantastic, but it doesn't get you excited as it does when they're like, oh wow, these guys could win like $1,000.
Yeah,
Like
it's a big deal. It's a very big deal,
yeah,
and especially for some of the players who are going to this event. Like, I'm so sad about Jehefe's group because Jehefe is an extremely good player, and he's very good at prep work, and he's pretty decent in tournaments. He does great in Clan Wars for us, and he has a very realistic chance of hitting Group Stage 3 just before the groups come out, like as just skill level. And he's 16, and his parents are not super supportive, so like that would have been such a huge deal for him. And now he's in a position where he's got True and Bales in his group. He's got one of the very few extremely difficult groups, and it's not impossible for him to advance over Bales, but it's going to be so hard. And that just goes to show like how reachable round of 32 is. That like it's like people like Jehefe have a good chance of making it there if they had been a little bit more lucky. Or like Silky, for example, like he's got a good shot of making it in there. Streamers like M. Canning, he's got a shot at making it in there. Like they're and especially because it's not even like you have to be better than the people who you beat. You just have to outsmart them in two best of threes. That's all you have to do, and it's very very reachable
Mm.
as a goal.
Yeah, just to, I guess just to run through some, I don't really want to run through all the groups or anything like that, but just some names in Group Stage 1 that you guys can be kind of watching out for. This starts, by the way, on Friday, 1 p.m. local Austin time, which is like 8 p.m. European time, more or less, so you guys can figure it out. But Group Stage 1 starts with players such as Kellezer, Optimus, Harston, the one and only Penguin, a legend, Petit Drogo, Cyan, Namshar, Vibe, TLO, Poke Bunny, True Bales. We've got Massa, sort of, Euthermal, and Cannon, as you mentioned as well, Bly and Fear. Fear's an interesting one to fly out as well, obviously, like a European player who should look to do well, but then gets a pretty tough group in the first
I
place.
feel really bad for him. I'm a good friend of his as well. Like not we're not like super close, but I'm a friend of his and I like him a lot, and he's not going to advance. It really sucks for him. Like because I feel like he's also somebody who's like on the verge of like losing all motivation sometimes, and this would have been such an important event for him. I don't see him advancing. I think Silky is just too good right now.
It's an interesting one. This is a Group K is brutal, by the way, just to go through
Group K and Group J are the two
Yeah, Group
insane
K.
ones.
Group K is Bly, Fear, Warren, and Silky. Obviously Warren and Silky, two very strong NA players. Fear, like sort of like this tier 2-ish European.
Fear can advance. It's just that I don't think it's likely because
Yeah.
Bly is never someone you want to play
No.
ever. He's like the European SOS.
Not offline either, like just
yeah,
not
like
fun.
and then Silky doesn't have that many broadcast games to be honest, and he's 6.2k on the Korea server. He's really good, and I don't know, man.
So yeah.
And Warren, like Fear is probably a little higher ranked than Warren, but Warren is very good at ZBP right now. So like, and I will. I'm gonna keep stroking your ego, Warren. Okay. But overall, like this is also a really shitty situation. Like it's nice that Fear only has to prep one matchup, but if I remember correctly, he doesn't like PBZ very much.
I don't know what he likes at the moment. I haven't talked to him too much. But yeah, I mean Group K is brutal, man. Group K. So that's kind of like Group Stage 1. Let's just quickly kind of go through the qualified players, I guess.
Sure.
They get straight into basically if you come through the Challenger League, either in EU or NA, or the Chinese version, or Copa America is the Latin American version, for example. The Chinese have their own little thing, so does Taiwan. You get seeded directly into round of 32, which means you already get $1,000. You get your flight paid as well, obviously, I think, which is one of the biggest deals because it means that it doesn't matter as much for NA players this time around, but that's going to be a big talking point in WCS circuit events. Like, not a lot of European players aren't going who would, a lot of the top ones, but there's a couple like BC Cutie, for example, isn't going because he didn't get a flight paid for, so that's just, sort of the way it is, and it'll be the same for Jonkoping and Valencia for NA players. Like, if they don't qualify, a lot of them won't make the flight out there. So
Right.
the qualifying is pretty important, but just to go through this list very quickly, this is a bit of a horrible kind of mess. I'm gonna try and tie everyone together. So coming in from the Taiwan sort of region is Bystork and Haas.
Oh my god, dude.
That-
Bystork, I'm so happy. I'm really sad that Winter missed it by one game.
Yeah,
Winter was up 2-0 against Haas and then lost 3-2. Really sad about that.
That's
But
crazy.
Bystork is a guy who's been trying for so long. He's one of the guys who, like, in the old school qualifiers, you used to be like he's in Hong Kong, so it's like he would have to play the Asia qualifiers with all the Koreans, and he would show up every single time and just not do well because they're
because Koreans, those qualifiers were
And
stuck.
it's great to see him have an opportunity, and he's not as good as somebody like Pilly or Neeb or Time or one of these other guys, but he is a good player, and I mean, he brings some weird builds. Like, I mean, he and Haas are gonna bring the cheddar, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be like this, like literally like the Protoss duo from hell. It's gonna be crazy. From SEA, we do have Igers and Pro. Pretty expected. I don't think anyone who's really playing in C is missing from there. Cypher was a favorite, didn't really show up on the day. So nothing really too crazy there. Latin America, Cham and Major fucked up
What a
and
surprise.
Major fucked up in the round of 16.
Oh yeah,
So he
he lost
played.
against Smile.
Yeah, he lost against Smile, so he only got second in his Copa America group, which meant he played Keller in the round of 8. So it was kind of unlucky for Keller. I mean, it's basically between Major, Cham, and Keller, so one of them's not going to make it. So I think no surprise is fair, but just letting you guys know why Keller is not in there. Coming out of China, we got Time and Ayasonu, which is
That surprises me a little bit. Ayasono has been the best Chinese player for a while in tournaments, but he hasn't been performing very well lately.
he's played
I do
he played
think
well at Katowice though. Katowice qualifiers, right?
he did well in Gyeonggi qualifiers,
Maybe yes, that's the one. Sorry.
but that was even that was a while ago, and it's been a while.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think
time
it's
is well. The thing is also Ayasono is also one of the very few Chinese players that is not currently in Korea. So there's 5 or 6 Chinese guys in Korea right now.
Yeah.
Time is one of them, and Time I think is definitely the one to watch. Time is very young. I believe he's 18 or 19.
Okay.
He's just coming onto the scene.
He's younger than
and
18 or
he's
19, I think.
So good.
He is 16.
Oh, he's 16.
Yeah, he's
there
really
we
young.
go.
He's really young.
So good.
Yeah, I think Time's a. Honestly, I'm not surprised Time qualified because he's been so good out of the Chinese players. I think I mean, it's like China's such a toss-up region. Actually, like there's never like a dominant duo for too long or anything. So like Cyan was very dominant last year, and Toot Ming has always been very dominant. Like a couple years ago, Max Ed and Jim were them dominant guys. So honestly, like it's not really a surprise to see Time and Ayasoni qualifying. I don't think, but it could have been someone else. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if Cyan had qualified. So that's cool. So that's that Chinese players, and then we get into Europe and NA. NA Pili Pili come in second place in the Challenger League. Should have probably started with Neeb, who came first, of course, and then Puck I think finished third place, and Jon Snow qualified in fourth place to come through in the Challenger League. I pretty expected top 4, I think, for the most part. I don't think
True is missing.
Yes, okay, of course, True is missing, yeah. But True wasn't playing that well a month or two ago during Challenger League. So maybe
it's still a surprise.
Yeah, it's surprising not to see True there from NA, but considering how he was playing at the time, it was a bit like, yeah, okay, that could happen.
Right.
But True is here in the group stage 1. We mentioned that.
Yep.
I'm sure he'll make the run. And just to wrap up the round, the qualified players for round of 32 already. From Europe, Nurcho, Cyril, and Snoot, the Zerg Resistance, a long time, of course.
And Showtime.
Yes. I mean, literally no surprises, probably the most.
No.
I mean, like, it's almost as predictable as Latin America.
I think the biggest surprise in Europe is how far DNS went. DNS is really doing so well recently.
Yeah, man.
He ended up losing in the final round before the qualified slots, 1-3 against Nurcho.
Hey, just quickly talking about this. Sorry, I mean I shouldn't have really interrupted you, but yeah, he did really well in Challenge League. But I just saw this tweet going out earlier today. You know Seoul?
Yeah.
He just hit 7k MMR on EU. Now
Wow. Well, I mean, Seoul has always been a really good ladder hero, so it's not that surprising.
I know, but still, man. Like,
but
next Challenger League, watch out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how he can transfer it because he's been extremely high ranking for so long,
and then he's never had
just
tournament
been
results.
Unable to capitalize on it.
It's crazy. Sorry, I really shouldn't have. That was like such a terrible throw to a different
Wardy?
conversation.
How dare you?
Well, I mean that. Yeah, sorry, I'll shut up. So I do want to start wrapping this up a little bit. I mean we've gone through the group stage 1. We've gone through the qualified players. Give me 3 players we expect to see placing highly, and just give me the whys.
True Pili Pili Jon Snow.
I knew it was gonna be the PSISTORM trio. To be fair, honestly, with the way the round of 32 goes, and we've been talking about some players who might make round of 32. Some of the round of 32 groups could be really interesting as well,
yeah.
in the sense that we could see. I mean, I would honestly look at this the already in the round of 32 players, and I would actually say I think any of them has a realistic chance of making round of 16.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is $2,500, by the way. So you come top 2 in your group, you're getting an extra $1,500. Obviously, WCS points on the line as well, which is a huge deal this year. WCS points only start in top 16, And that is, I mean, obviously the eyes on the prize, but WCS points are the secondary prize where you want them because you want to get yourselves to BlizzCon. You know, that is
Well, it also
the
helps you
goal.
for future event seating.
Yes, and that's what something I actually talked with Pilly Pilly about last episode as well. You should listen to it. Gave him actually gave a really cool insight as to how good Katowice was for him because he performed well there. He got WCS points, and that gave him a really good seed in NA Challenger, which made his run easier. So there you go. Go check out Natural Expansion episode 5. Also a great podcast.
Yeah, I heard the guy who
So,
hosts it is very handsome.
I mean, you're literally listening to the same show one episode later right now. So I mean, I feel as though it's a fairly reasonable sellout. So you're good with the PSISTORM boys. Honestly, usually I would kind of shit on you for kind of being a cliche, but honestly, I could see all of them doing pretty well. So
Yeah, man,
can't
you can't.
really.
They're just too good.
Yeah. I don't know who to pick. Like, I think Cyril's gonna go far.
Yep.
I think Neeb is back on point again, hitting like 7,209 MMR in Europe recently. Like that's literally not even understandable for most people. I'm gonna go Neeb, Cyril, and I'm gonna be interested and pick someone from another region again. I'm gonna say Major too. Just I feel Major. I think he's been in Korea a while. I think he's gonna show up and just gonna like trash everyone. He's been like rocking like 6.9k MMR on the EU ladder from Korea. It's like
What? Jesus.
yeah, he's been like it's been really dumb. He's like, oh, and also I don't have a problem with Phoenix Adept. So no one knows why, but everyone wants his replays. So that's my picks for people to watch out for. Um Awesome. So that kind of wraps up our topics. A bit of a discussion about PSISTORM Cup, bantered off the NA scene, and talked about WCS Austin. Penguin, thank you very much for joining me, as I know you always would, because you cannot get enough of me. Spirit animal.
Yeah, man, spirit
mutual.
animal.
See, we are so spirit animal together. It's crazy, crazy. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Of course, please do sell yourself out right now. You have as long as you like to sell yourself out.
All right. I mean, you guys can follow me on Twitter at PSI Penguin. Shout outs to my team, PSISTORM Gaming. Shout outs to the boys for going to Austin. We're gonna get top 8. Like the top 8 is gonna be only PSISTORM players. It's gonna be really sick.
That would be insane.
Looking forward to that. And yeah, guess that's it.
All right, awesome. Well, again, thank you for joining me. And thank you everyone for listening, of course. Again, this is kind of our second run through of this newer format of Natural Expansion, and I kind of love it. I think it's really cool. I think it's better than the usual talk show, like personally, but maybe that's just me. But thank you guys for watching. Obviously, sub on the iTunes. I'm not used to saying that one at all. Or if you listen on YouTube, hit the like button and subscribe as well for more content. Again, try and do these every 1 to 2 weeks when there's interesting topics and an interesting guest. And I'll obviously hopefully have episode 7 out soon as well for you guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and have a good night. Or day, or whatever fucking time you're listening to this podcast. What a dreadful outro. See you later, guys. Have a good one.